One woman did send me a text and say, okay, I went to buy a greeting card. I put on a pencil skirt, a belt. I tucked my shirt in. I do have flip-flops on, but I'm working on that. And I put on a chunky necklace. I'm like, yep, you did. Because that person used to look schlumpy. And whether the people in the card store noticed or not is not the point. She noticed. We have to believe in ourselves.
Welcome back to The Materialist. My name is Mark Bridge, and I am your host. Today, we're joined by an Instagram style influencer. Now, when you hear that, I bet you have a particular idea in mind. Did you picture a mid-60-year-old former New York City public school teacher and principal? Probably not, but you should have. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Jacqui Getz, who defines and epitomizes what it means to be stylish at any age. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to The Materialist. I am delighted today to be here with Jacqui Getz. Jacqui, welcome.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me.
This show is called The Materialist, which is in a lot of ways a provocation. It feels like such a loaded term. Everybody in the world has an opinion about stuff.
Yeah.
Should we have more stuff? Do we want to rid ourselves of stuff? Maybe start by saying, what is your reaction to the term the materialist? Would you consider yourself one?
Yes, I would consider myself one because acquiring things, and I care about sharing things, I care about giving things, I care about owning things. Yes, I can't pretend it has a bad connotation, but if you are careful, I think that there is an ability to be a careful materialist, a thoughtful one, but to say that I don't actively purchase materials or inherit them or get them would be crazy and nonsensical. But you're reminding me of a documentary I saw a few years ago about these two guys who decide to just have one shirt each and one pair of pants each, and they were going to go, and they were heading cross country to talk to people, to convince people to lead the simple life. I forget what it was called. And I remember thinking, but you're giving up so much of yourself when you do that. And so we were talking about the stories and things. There's a sentimental value attached to some goods and materials we have, and they're not all associated with money. You can be a materialist in your sentimental objects too. I like that you're using that word because I think it forces us inside of it to really expand it and to say, why is it a bad thing? Why is it a bad thing to collect emotions and stories and sentiment and history? It's not a bad thing.
You are a recent addition to the At Present tribe.
I am.
We're delighted that you have come into the tent. Tell us where you come from and what are you working on and who is Jacqui?
This is the simplest version, but I'm a New Yorker who I'm 64. And when I was 61, I retired after 36 years as an educator in the New York City public school system. I started when I was 25. I actually worked in the Garment Center for 2 years, but that's another story. And I was a teacher, I was a consultant, and I was a school leader towards the end of my career for about 10 or 12 years. My last thing that I did as an educator was I started a New York City public middle school in the West Village. So where there hadn't been one, we created one. And the first year we had 200 kids. By the second year we had 700. By the third year we had 900. So it grew very quickly. And I retired at 61. During that time I got an image consulting certificate at FIT, planning for a future I didn't even know about. When I retired, I went back to school. I got a master's in sustainable fashion, and I wrote my thesis on whether small women-owned sustainable fashion brands could disrupt ageism in the fashion industry. And then I started a business working with older women, closet edits, wardrobe refreshes, personal shopping, with the idea of sustainability still in the back. Because when you're older and you had clothes for a long time, you win the sustainability award. Even if you shouldn't have hung on to them for a long time. You
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good,
Yes,
huh?
exactly, exactly.
I think a number of people would hear that and say, wow, that's quite a pivot from, being a
Yes.
public school educator
Yep.
to being a sustainable fashion guru to being a style icon. Jacqui has a wonderful Instagram if you don't follow it.
Very.
Is there a through line there, or this is just, all right, there are multiple things that are important to me in the world and I'm pursuing these things in parallel?
That's a great question. I think we all have that. I think there's a through line in that I've always cared about, I can't say fashion. I've always cared about my wardrobe, my presentation, and putting together outfits because I'm a planner. When you're an educator and you're raising 3 kids and you're married to an educator, I needed to know what I was wearing for 5 days out. I didn't want to repeat outfits for principals conferences, that sort of thing. I had to have the right outfit for PTA meetings or difficult parent meetings. And that had to be planned. The higher heel, more jewelry, had to be, bring it on.
Say more about that, right? What things for what occasions?
I think the power of an outfit. If I was having a difficult meeting, I made sure I had on high heels, an outfit that made me feel powerful. I want to go in feeling my best, my armor. So I've always cared about that, my presentation, and I felt like I put in a good amount of time in my first career, 36 years. So then I did what I wanted to do, and I really love helping people get organized, and I care deeply about older women feeling good about themselves. I never understood older women who just stopped caring. I don't know if they gave up or this sense of invisibility, whatever it is, from so many, you can look at it in so many different angles, but really a sense of, I'm not going anywhere, I retired, does it really matter? And in my head, it always matters.
Tell me about your thesis. What does sustainability mean and what did you learn? Were these people actually making inroads against this goal?
Sustainability is a beautiful concept because it really takes care of human rights, the environment, the rights of the planet, economically. In the long run, it will, of course, serve everyone. But it's a difficult subject because one, it does count out people who can't afford to buy sustainable goods, and then if they are still buying fast fashion, they're bad. There's this moral dilemma, which is split along economic lines, which I find difficult to accept. It is very lofty. You can't shut down businesses and manufacturing in countries that are depending on it. But then again, the human rights issue is real. And there's a precious side to it. It's sustainable. When designers making sustainable stuff and the rest of us can't do it. But if you like the word materialistic, if you make it a bigger definition, sustainability is taking care of your clothes, keeping them longer, not throwing them in a landfill, giving them to people who will give them a second life. And that makes it doable. I can, by less overconsumption, I can take care of my clothes and I can make sure when I'm finished with it, I give it to someone who will wear it. So that brings it back to earth. I can be sustainable without checking every label and making sure it's organic cotton or linen from Ireland. I can do that. I may not wear a hemp shirt, but I can be careful even with my things that I either bought at Zara or I bought from a small sustainable brand. Can it disrupt ageism? Small sustainable brands have small curated collections.
Start with what is the
Yes.
hypothesis there? Why would a small sustainable brand disrupt ageism? How are those things related?
Because they have such a small curated collection and they are selling at a higher price point. And in this world, the truth is the baby boomers have some of the money. They appreciate quality. So they may be drawn to something that is of higher quality. A small curated brand means that you are not looking at an extensive collection. That is mind-boggling, so you're drawn to the simplicity of it. Some of them can draw in a baby boomer and then draw in their daughter or son and make it more intergenerational. The designs are more size inclusive because they have a smaller collection, but they can really think more about it. They can listen to their customer because they literally have to reach out if something goes wrong. And they get such knowledge from their customers that they can design in turn and really listen to them. So it's a beautiful small circle. It's circular fashion. It can work. But it can be expensive. It can be both to manufacture and to buy. But the messaging is beautiful. Yes, I feel like it's inclusive in terms of gender, age, and size, and it breaks down a lot of barriers to fashion. These small, beautiful brands.
The conclusion of the thesis is
they may not make the impact on the fashion industry one would like. In their small world, they definitely can. Will it be impactful in a bigger way? Maybe not. Are there lessons to be learned from what they're doing? The listening to the client, the taking into account what is really needed, the being careful about sizing and measuring. Yes, those are transferable skills and ethics that should be thought about.
I don't know if it's conflating two things, but I think about conversations about sustainability and conversations about fashion or style being conversations of privilege, right? What do you think about that?
I think having a sustainable wardrobe is a privilege. To be able to buy those beautiful items and really say, I have a minimal wardrobe, everything is manufactured by people who are being paid properly in close by, it's being sourced, and the sheep aren't being abused. I think that's beautiful. It's not completely realistic. And if fashion is more democratic, we hope, which unfortunately fast fashion has done, it's made it more democratic and accessible.
Blessing and a curse.
Exactly. I love the idea of it, but I think that we have to make it attainable and give everyone a chance to be part of that sustainable experience. It's not just buying the most expensive, gorgeous wool sweater that was ethically made. You buy knitters who are being well taken care of. It's also about what you're buying. Do you know about it? Knowledge is the power of sustainability. So even if you could be buying the wrong thing, know it, and what are you going to do? Can you buy less of it then?
Tell me about your style evolution. Where did this come from? Was this something that you learned growing up? Was this something that you picked up because you were finding Vogue magazine and intrigued by it?
Yes, in Vogue magazine, I learned that you could buy straw bags at L'Occitane, the soap and now cosmetic store, and the baskets you use when you're walking around the store, they sell them. So for the last 25 years, every year I go to L'Occitane and I buy myself a new $40 basket and look like I'm carrying around something expensive. Learn that in Vogue. But,
still available? You can still do that?
Yes, you can even call them and they'll send them to you.
Huh.
Just so I tell you that tip. Or you can come to me, I'll give them to you. But
you have a couple of decades worth of annual baskets.
Yes, they never give up. But I became more confident and stylish as I got older. I don't know why. I just was, when I turned 50, I thought, I literally can do what I'd like to do. And I'm just going to try it out. And I do. Freed up my fashion boundaries when I got older.
Was that something that was a shock to the New York public school system? I feel like people's ideas of this is what a middle school principal looks like has a very particular mental picture.
I wore jeans every day as a principal. Don't think that's the norm. I wore jeans and heels all the time. Definitely people commented to me about my principal attire and kids, but you want to have fun. Don't you want joy going to work? I really like putting together clothes and enjoying myself. And when you're with kids all day, they inspire you. And teachers, you want to look good and be professional, but have fun. And as I got older, I had more fun.
I love that. How are those things related? I feel like if you asked people, do you want more joy in your life? Everybody would be like, yes. And then if you propose the way to do it is, right? How do you think those things are connected?
The feedback I get from my clients is And I say to them going into our closet edits, which can last all day on Zoom or in person, like 7 hours on Zoom with people cross
Tell us what that
country.
process looks like. Take us into somebody's closet, and what is the conversation you're having?
We just go, there's a lot of work ahead of time, conversations, a Pinterest page. I said a Google Doc to just get some more information. And I always say to women, know your measurements. You don't have to tell me, but you should know them, because sizing is a mind game. So you may be a 4, a 6, or a 12, but it depends on the garment. So please, and it's hard for women to walk away from the size of a garment, no matter what, small, medium, large, it's hard. And then when I get on Zoom or in person, we go piece by piece. There's an amazing book by Annie Lamott called Bird by Bird. And it's advice that the writer gave to her brother when he was writing a research paper on birds. And the father said, bird by bird. When you do a closet edit, it is item by item. It's the stories behind each. It's like, why, how does it fit into the puzzle? We do that. Then we try on all different combinations. And my two favorite things are from when a client says, I never thought to put that together, because I do that to in my closet. I'm like, I'm going to force myself to rethink how things go together. Number one. And number two, I'm excited to get dressed. And that's the joy. We all get to have that.
Tell us what you're wearing today, and tell us what are the stories behind that.
My suit is 6 or 7 years old. I literally had to go back in Gmail and put in Sandro and find out when I bought it. I bought it on sale, and I hadn't worn it. And not that I didn't have many occasions to, but I think it was just for me a leap sometimes. So I bought it, and I'm so happy. Now I'll wear it a lot. And we were talking about this. All of my jewelry has, which I sleep in. Yep, and it's noisy. Every single piece is intentional and has a story or I had specifically made from another item. I repurpose a lot of my jewelry. If I'm not wearing it, so now I'm going to melt it down and make it something I'll wear.
And so if you're sleeping and everything, does that mean that everything is core, or do you have things that kind of you bring in on a daily basis?
And then I add to them. It's obnoxious on some levels.
Because?
First of all, they're incredibly noisy, and second of all, I'm not quite sure what stuff these are my anti-anxiety tools. These are my stories. These are like, everything reminds me of stuff, and I think in today's world we need that, right? We need something to ground us, to remind us that we have control and power over things. We have history, there's joy. So that, and then I have a bunch of chunky older brass bracelets. I'll just put them on. As we get older, we get to do what we want. I recommend it highly.
I think it's awesome. I love it.
It's really fun.
Is there one piece that you'd be willing to share a story of where it came from and what it means to you?
This I have a wonderful jeweler that I work with on the Upper West Side, and during the pandemic, I said, do you have, a bracelet like this? She goes, yeah. I said, can I buy it online? I trust her, and she just dropped it off for me on her way home, which I love. But this is actually an ID bracelet from Tiffany's, and I had one made for my husband and me, and it has our girls' initials, JEM. We call them the gems, and our wedding date, and he wears one and I wear one. He wouldn't get a matching tattoo, so this is it.
This is the closest you could get to getting that.
And then everything, this is from a school that I worked in. The principal gave it to me. Everything has something, and I love that. And there are times I add things on, like this I will add on, and sometimes wear this. I have one in white. Again, a parent made it from many years ago. It's an amazing jeweler. She stopped working. But these are the core, so they have to have room for other things. It's not entirely practical, nor would I admire people who have a gorgeous selection and change it up. But I'm really deeply into control, so I want to know I have these on, and then I'll add to them.
What is the control part of that?
It's just like, don't change my earrings. I just don't. And when I was doing the shoots for you, and I thought, earrings are really fun. But I used to have very short hair, and so the earrings had to stay minimal. I just want to know that I have my basics on, and then I will. It's like a pair of jeans and a white t-shirt. That's an outfit, but it really becomes an outfit when you add to it. So these are my jeans and my t-shirt, and then I just keep adding on. And there are many things here I would add on.
We know where you can find them. We would be delighted to
Yes.
share them with you. You have 3 grown daughters.
I do.
As they were growing up in New York City, surrounded by so much
Right.
stimulation, what did you tell them about the role of
Materialism?
stuff? Yeah,
Exactly.
acquisition and having and wanting.
You know what? I do feel, and this is something we've discussed. First of all, they grew up before social media. We walked in on my oldest daughter when she was, I don't know, middle school or maybe high school, and she had her back to us, and she was going on Facebook when you had to be 18 and she wasn't. And we said, I won't use her name. We said, Maxie, your back is to us so we see what you're doing. So you don't even know how to do this privately. And you know you're not 18. She goes, I know. They didn't even know how to sneak around. But what's interesting, and this is really, I have to think more about this, but we closed down our storage unit. We're in a New York City apartment, so like everyone else, we have a little storage in the building, and you buy storage, you pay for storage. And I finally said, we're paying $300 a month to keep the girls' American Girl dolls. Like, this has to end. We brought everything into our living room, 50, 60 boxes, said to the girls, you have 2 weeks, and then I want a living room. Come, look through. And I realized they were like, we don't need all the Playmobil. Give away the American Girl dolls, the furniture and everything. We don't need all the Barbie stuff. I realized I had done that. And I raised girls who didn't care. But
You had done what?
I was one buying. I loved American Girl. I was buying it. I kept buying. I loved getting it for them. But in truth, they played with it, but they weren't emotionally or sentimentally attached. And they were like, give it away. There are lots of kids who need this stuff. And that was much more me. And I had children who were like, I don't need that. I'll keep one. You want me to keep one? I'll keep one. I'll keep a Playmobil. So thank goodness, they ignored me and didn't. And they're not kids they are minimalists in many ways, which I am much more now. But again, they didn't see all the stuff on social media. I don't know if we could have avoided it that much. You'll tell me your kids are younger.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
We're just starting
And
to confront that and trying to figure out how do you,
Exactly.
you
because
don't want to be hermetic, but
they don't know it's a made-up world that they're seeing through the screen. But I don't know if we know it. I look at older influencers and I think, oh my goodness, that's some wardrobe. Really? How do you keep doing that? And it's hard there's a difference between being materialistic and gluttony. And I think that one can lead to another, but I think that the idea of overconsumption is really what we all have to think about.
overconsumption and the idea of envy and shame around what I have or don't have.
100%. It doesn't go away as you get older at all. It takes different forms, but yeah.
How did that, I'm thinking about if I'm running a middle school in the West Village,
right.
which I saw recently was one of the most expensive places in the world
Right.
to live.
Right.
But I imagine you have a wide variety of backgrounds that kids are coming
Right.
from. How do you create an environment where it's not all about little Bobby has something that I want?
Right. It's everything from vacations to COVID, when you were zooming into people's homes. That was a hard one. I think that you think you're going to even the playing field once they're in school. You can't entirely. And what you try to do is create a curriculum where kids are beginning to communicate and share things that are not about their vacations, their sneakers, their home life, that are a meeting of the minds and the hearts. You hope to create those experiences. It is not easy. We talk about this. Middle school is a really tough time. They're so cute in elementary school. They actually become more human in high school. And they have to go through this awful 3 years, which in truth, when you're a middle school educator, you love. Messy is good. But
That's the friction where things get sorted out.
It's like all over the place. Academic, like everything. And now it's even harder because of the effects of COVID. But you hope that you're giving kids an opportunity to communicate and not about their stuff. about ideas, about questions, about books and things like that. And you hope to put materials in front of them that show many different lives and these similarities. So yes, we had a very large middle school, very diverse across everything: economics, academics, geography. It was a huge zone. Kids came from all different homes. Racially, it was a big distribution of everything, and not one variable or characteristic was indicative of everything else, which is really important. You want kids to somehow have their stereotypes messed up a little bit. Some are reinforced, but you also want them messed up.
What does that mean? What does that look like?
You don't want kids to think, oh, I know that kid with those characteristics, so that means every kid like that is the same. It is not. I think we were wildly successful and wildly unsuccessful. We only had them for 3 years. And it's public school, so a lot of people have a lot of opinions. A lot of parents, a lot of opinions. But you hope that you're also hiring teachers, and teachers have this way of creating communities where we can leave some things outside the door. And here in this room, we take care of each other. That's the best version of education. Doesn't always happen.
But to have that as your North Star, to have
Yes.
this agreement on this is the ideal.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's those ideas that I also take into styling older women in fashion, that don't judge yourself and what is in your closet and compare it to other people. Learn how to trust yourself and develop a language between you and your wardrobe that speaks to you, that represents you, that you feel your best in it.
Is that
And
different if you're 65 than if you're 25?
I'm just working with someone in their 20s this coming week, actually. I'll let you know. Yeah, older women get really bad messages from the world.
What are they hearing?
You are not important. You're past your prime. Everything in the media is younger, thinner, cooler, this and that. It's hard for an older woman to look at clothing lines and models that are young and beautiful and thin and then think, those jeans look good on me. Can I wear that sweater? Am I allowed to wear that sweater? So that's a leap. And I try to work with women to say, imagine that on you. Do you like it? Do you like the color, the price? Do you like the fabric? Imagine it on you. But the world is not set up. You retired, you're out of everything. You should be playing pickleball and cards somewhere in Florida in a retirement thing. Where, by the way, they're really well dressed. If my mother-in-law, 90, and her friends are any indication, they rock it.
Why does it matter what somebody puts on, right? There's this, and I think with justification, there are all of these marketing messages that are telling me what to buy.
And to keep buying.
Yeah, and the pernicious influence of social media. Here are all these people that are living impossibly perfect lives.
Yes. Going on such good vacation.
And I think we would both admit those are really problematic tropes.
Yep.
And you still believe it's important to get dressed in the morning.
I do.
How do those things square with one another?
They may not. And it's okay if getting dressed in the morning is because you also want to be part of that looking good world. Everyone's allowed into that world. And I think at the end of the day, when you're looking good, I iron my t-shirts and jeans, even if I'm going to get a cup of coffee and coming home to work. Those details count. I hear my sister in my head is always reminding me, you're always talking about details. I really do believe those details count. And I believe that when we put on our best and look our best, not our most expensive, but look our best and present ourselves to the world, that final look in the mirror, you have to get that little, I got it, I'm me. And if nobody looks at you, I say to women, there's someone will say, oh, I miss people turning their heads and calling out to me. It actually never happened to me, so I don't miss that. But I'm like, you can do a cat call on your way out in the mirror yourself. That'll work because stand up for yourself, age and enjoy it. But that's a whole nother conversation, the pressure on people to age beautifully. There's this thing called aging successfully. So if you're not, you're aging unsuccessfully. So if, God forbid, you get sick, which happens when you get older, you're unsuccessful at aging. That's a dumb idea. There's so many judgments. But I think I urge my clients, yes, you need new white t-shirts. Yeah, you need new jeans. Yep, you should treat yourself to a beautiful bracelet that you can wear all the time. It's going to bring you joy.
You have been married now for close to 4 decades.
38 years, but you're making it sound, yeah.
I think that's a success. I think that's
know,
awesome.
I never thought, yeah.
What does your husband make of this? What the amount of kind of time and attention and intellectual and financial resources that you've dedicated to this? Does he operate the same way in the world?
No. He retired 2 years after me, and he's working on a book because he was a writer. Then he became an educator, also principal and everything. He's always happy and busy because no one wants to see any version of me not busy. It's not a good thing. And he on occasion says, "Are you breaking even?" I'm like, not even close.
On your business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even close, not yet. But he loves the stories I come home with. And the transformative power of women who say, "I do have style." Who think everything in my closet is wrong. And I'm like, no, it's not. Let's put it together. And then when they say, "Oh, I never thought of that," he's fascinated, as I am too. I didn't see it that way. The power of people feeling better about what they own, how they wear it, how they accessorize it. And I have to say, the biggest part of everything is our final, seriously? You only wear one necklace at a time? Oh, no. And we have gone through jewelry boxes, costume jewelry, fine jewelry, and I'm like, oh, no, you need more. You need to add this. You can go and get all this stuff. That is the final touch, and it is beautiful.
Without divulging names, is there a story of a transformation of somebody that you've worked with that's particularly resonant to you?
I ask because I'm redoing my website yet again, and I ask people to send me testimonials if they're comfortable, and it's so revealing. But one woman just sent me, because we Zoom, we are together in person, we talk, then I get text, "Does this look okay?" Any moment something will pop up as someone's on their way out the door and say, "Can I get your approval?" or "What did I do wrong here?" Which I love. And there's no end to it. But one woman did send me a text and say, "Okay, I went to buy a greeting card. I put on a pencil skirt, a belt. I tucked my shirt in. I do have flip-flops on, but I'm working on that. And I put on a chunky necklace." I'm like, yep, you did. Because that person used to look schlumpy. And whether the people in the card store noticed or not is not the point. She noticed. We have to believe in ourselves. And older women need a little support in that area. There are plenty of older women who have so much confidence and joy. Please spread it. But not everyone.
I think that's a fabulous place to end. 2 questions that I like to ask at the end.
Yes.
The first is, are there 3 makers or designers or creatives, people that you admire who you think should have more attention? In anything, artists, designers, jewelry makers, furniture makers.
Who should have more attention? That would mean that I've discovered people. Well, I can say this.
Who do you like, right?
In my research, I really met 3 women in particular who I thought were just like, I hope the whole world gets time with you. And that's Naomi, Christine Accolade. Naomi's in Brooklyn, Christine is in Brooklyn, and Minimalist New York, who I met through a principal. She was a parent in a public school. Their grace and elegance and ability to connect with clients, they are sustainable, but more than that, they are craftspeople. And they have a story behind everything, and they show their lives, so you really understand their. I always said to people, I want to be an educator because I like homework. I want to bring home homework. I'm not a 9-to-5 person. I shut off at 5 and I'm a different person. Everything ought to be, like if I go to a museum, I still think, is this a good field trip? And can I call a teacher and give it this? But these are women like that. Where I was like, they live it, they breathe it. I would say them. And the jeweler I work with on West 86th Street, I come to her with an idea and we create together, and she does that you'd be surprised how many people do that. And I think they do that because they own pieces that they bought that have inspired them. So working with her has been really important because she lets me hang on to what I bought and add to it, and I realize you can layer stories that way. So I love that.
Fabulous. Thank you. And last but not least, if anybody wants to find you.
Oh, so my Instagram, this is really original. My Instagram is The Details of Style, and my website is The Details of Style.
It's almost like you're obsessed with details.
I am.
Jacqui Getz, such
Mark,
a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I love everything you have. I love your selection. You know that. And I love this opportunity to be a part of the At Present family. It's inspirational and it's real, which I appreciate.
That's the goal. And
it's meaningful.
Of the many fun parts of this journey, getting to meet fascinating people has been the best. So thank you. Thank you for coming into our world. And we hope you'll stick around for a while.
I will. I'll probably go shopping.
That's it for this episode of The Materialist. We have some awesome guests coming up over the next month, and even an in-person event scheduled for early December. If you like the show, please subscribe and leave a review, or reach out via email and say hi, mark@atpresent.com. The Materialist is a production of At Present, matchmaker to extraordinary jewelry.